right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani here tonight. Andrew Fillipponi is there, which is 93.7 The Fan. And you can hit us up by dialing the number you see there at 412-575-2600, or you can do it on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer, at KDPomp at the Pony Express. And you were in attendance yesterday, Pony, at a very interesting game up in Buffalo, New York, where the Bills didn't make mistakes. The Ravens did. It's interesting to me because throughout the course of the season, the Ravens made a point of not making as many mistakes. I mean, I thought Lamar Jackson throughout the course of the year was very, very good about the negative plays and the lack of them. And so was Josh Allen this year specifically. But yesterday it all unfolded for the Ravens, which is kind of what's happened to them in the past.
Yeah, it was same old as far as the Ravens shooting themselves in the foot.
Who knows? They may have gone down to get a game-winning field goal. But Josh Allen is pretty much, I think, learned a lot about his position as time goes on, in that he doesn't have to win games by himself. I think early in his career he certainly thought that was the case maybe. Did too much like a lot of young quarterbacks. Now he has a good run game. He relies on it. If you look at the numbers, it looked like Baltimore dominated just about every category except those turnovers, and that made the difference.
I mean, it looked like Steelers-Ravens games that the Steelers have won, where Baltimore has the yardage advantage. Baltimore outplays the Steelers, but the Steelers force more turnovers, and they take care of the football. And that's what happened in this game. Josh Allen didn't make a lot of crazy plays. He made a couple, but for the most part, he was just smart with the football. And really, Buffalo got outplayed badly in the second half. They just hung on for dear life and were the smarter of the two teams. Really, the recipe that Mike Tomlin has preached to his football team all year is about turnovers and being the more, the smarter team, the more intelligent team, the team that doesn't beat itself. And Bob, look, John Harbaugh here and this team, look at their lack of postseason success now. I mean, they've really, for all the criticism we make of the Steelers and their postseason miscues and mistakes, Baltimore is not much better off. They went to an AFC Championship game last year, but I believe they only have 3 playoff wins since their last Super Bowl trip. That's an incredibly low number given the amount of talent that they've had there in the last 10 years.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, but the thing for them is they know they have a franchise quarterback moving forward who's gotten better and better every year, and the Steelers are in quite the opposite position. Have this tweet here from Eric D., who says, Bob, Pony, what is your observation about the quarterback play of the 4 that are remaining? Who's playing the best? You know, that's an interesting question, because if I have to look at it strictly from who's playing the best, I'd have to say Jaden Daniels would be my answer to this based on everything I've seen. And this is not to say that he's the best quarterback out there, but my goodness, when you watch what he's been able to do, Pony, on the road, not making mistakes, seemingly nonplussed by all of the stuff that's going on, just as poised as can be. I think he's the answer to that question.
I agree. Jalen Hurts doesn't look healthy, and he's been really helped out by the greatness of Saquon Barkley. Mahomes has the entire NFL, Roger Goodell, officiating crews, the eye in the sky, the television networks, everybody making sure that they help him advance to the playoffs. And Allen's played well, but he's played a little bit of a different style this year where it's less hero ball and less trying to put the team on his shoulders to win games. So I agree. I mean, in these 2 playoff wins for Washington, Jaden Daniels has punted the ball only 1 time, and they've got the longest winning streak of any team left in the playoffs. So I agree with you. I'd have to say him right now, which is crazy because he's a rookie, and he matched Ben Roethlisberger's record, Bob, for most wins in a season by a rookie with that victory over Detroit last weekend.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we cited the differences last night. As I go to break here, I'll just throw this out to you, because he, of all the guys who've gotten these, wins who are young quarterbacks, his defense coming into this was 18th overall, where Ben at the time was first. He had a number 1 defense, and a lot of these guys who've gotten there have relied on their defense. And so far, not so much him. He is just outscoring people. So it's very interesting to watch. And we'll talk more about these matchups as we go along. I want to hear from you at 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're on the air 7 nights a week on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. Pony and I are back right after this. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from the Pittsburgh Steelers, noticing that Chris Boswell, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt all named to the all NFL and all AFC teams. So those guys have been terrific. I think Boswell, of all of them, has put up such a consistently good season. But the Steelers go into this offseason with a lot of different things they have to try to figure out, not the least of which is their quarterback situation, where, as I mentioned before, Andrew, some of these teams are pretty set in who they have, and they don't have to worry about that. And the Steelers had that for all these years with Ben Roethlisberger and didn't necessarily take advantage of some of those years. So now they're trying to figure out what's next. So to me, it's Justin Fields for now. I don't know. I would rather go in that direction. But is there any chance that they can draft someone this year, not in the first round, because I don't think that's going to be possible, who can actually be someone who they later look at as a franchise quarterback?
Probably not. I mean, the odds are severely stacked against that happening. Look at the fraternity of NFL starting quarterbacks now. So few of them are guys that weren't first-round pick. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, is the one that people throw around as the outlier, the guy that has come from out of nowhere to be a quarterback that was in the Super Bowl just a season ago. But short of that, Jalen Hurts, a second-round pick. Russell Wilson was a third-round pick, but he also now is past his prime and might be out of the NFL. The vast majority of these quarterbacks are first-round picks. They're getting overdrafted, so maybe guys that used to go in the second or third round, Bob, are now getting picked in the first round. And that's the issue. So, no, I highly doubt that the answer to their prayers is somewhere, picking somewhere in the 50s or somewhere in the 80s in the NFL draft this spring.
And Jerry Dulac had pointed out something in one of his chats in the Post-Gazette concerning the Steelers, and he believes they're going to make a big play to a wide receiver. To me, the only big play to be made is T. Higgins. We've talked about this before. But if you're T. Higgins, how do you look at the Steelers situation? I mean, money is probably going to be equal anywhere you go. Somebody's going to offer him a lot of money. It could be here too, and that would be great. But then you have to look beyond that. What would you do if you were him?
I totally agree with you on that. The Steelers, if things are close or all things being equal, they're not probably the best destination right now unless the guy just really wants to play for Mike Tomlin, which we've seen that happen. But, I mean, what good is playing for Mike Tomlin when it gets you 9-8, 10-7 in a first-round exit in the playoffs? You'd think T. Higgins, having been to a Super Bowl not too long ago, would try to have it both ways, get a lot of money and also go to a contender, which he should be able to do that. The intriguing name for me, which doesn't really get brought up a lot, is Chris Godwin because of the injury he suffered this year. So he's a free agent. I guess Tampa Bay could always franchise tag him, but that would be a huge one-year premium contract for a guy that's coming back from an injury. Is it possible that because of medical, the Steelers could get a deal on a guy, but it's also a risk because of the medical, Bob?
Right.
But my argument for it would be you should be making risky moves. You're not paying a lot of money for a franchise quarterback. I think you got to do something bold here to try to turn this franchise around, and maybe taking a flyer on him while everybody's off looking at T. Higgins is the right move, because I happen to think when healthy, Godwin's a very, very good receiver, Bob. He would be their best guy.
I think he was a great compliment down there in Tampa. What about Christian Kirk? You mentioned an injury. He had one, too, and I know the Steelers, I don't know. I mean, if you start searching around, they're going to have to come up with some plan here, whether it's one of these guys and a draft pick, because I highly believe they're going to draft a wide receiver, maybe in the first round.
Well, it's been a while. I mean, I think the last one's Santonio Holmes. They've had such success finding guys in the second and third round, but lately that really hasn't worked out. I mean, George Pickens, I don't know, if he's gone here after 3 years and doesn't sign a second contract and you jettison him because of behavioral issues, Bob, that doesn't feel like a successful pick to me.
No.
It wouldn't be, in my opinion. Chase Claypool was only a successful pick because it netted you Joey Porter Jr. in a trade, but his career on its own, his rookie year was really good, but then after that it went off the deep end. So their run of taking wide receivers in rounds 2 and rounds 3 not working. Roman Wilson, Bob. What a wasted pick. They won 10 games this year, and they got no production out of their first-round pick Fautano and a third-round pick Roman Wilson. How about that, Bob?
Yeah, both injured.
As far as this season went.
Both did not play. Very interesting, yeah, and they need both of those guys to be the right guys moving forward. Let's go to the lines here, Andrew. We got John in Charleroi. First up tonight, our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. Hey, John.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Andrew.
What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to say that a couple things. Andrew, you almost made the right call on that Pickett coming in to save the day for Philly. It didn't quite unwind that way, but it had to
He might play next week. You never know the way Hurts is hurting around, you know?
Right. And then the other thing was earlier in the year I was talking about Pickens with Fillipponi and mentioned about taking him down to the steel mill, for a field trip. Well, this time I think you ought to take the secondary with him. So what do you think about that one? Is it overdue?
Well,
yes, it is.
Yes.
It absolutely is. The guy's a knucklehead, Bob. I hate to say it about a professional athlete, but when you're trying to challenge fans to a fight during a game and your teammates have to hold you back, something is very badly wrong there and out of whack.
There's no question. That's why you have to really seriously consider the talent is the talent. It's there. You need talent, but they also have to consider how much money that talent is going to cost, knowing that once that money is delivered, what's he going to be like? So.
And Bob, I think a lot of small things add up to a big thing. All the reporters that were there in Baltimore watching pregame warm-ups of the playoff game, you know how this works. Guys come out for early warm-ups, then they go in and change into their full pads and come back out. Every wide receiver, Mike Williams, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, warmed up with Russell Wilson in that early warm-up, except George Pickens. And he's coming back from a horrible game against Cincinnati. It's a playoff game. Why is he not out there trying to get a rapport with his quarterback? I hate stuff like that, Bob. Are you a winner or are you not? What is your modus operandi? What is your goal? You're better than that? You don't need that? I hate that kind of stuff from pro athletes. You should be driven right now. Travis Kelce's out there 3 hours before a game with Patrick Mahomes. That guy's got rings like you can't believe. More catches than anybody in NFL history in the playoffs.
Right. And you have to be a guy who comes, sit on the sidelines on a bench and have your quarterback and other players come up to you and try to knock some sense into you. That's not a good look either in the middle of a game. Let's go to Mike in Blairsville real quick. Hello, Mike. How are you?
All right. How you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey,
what's up?
I just wanted to ask you guys what you would think about Philadelphia going to the Super Bowl and Kenny Pickett getting a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I mean, he could. Even if he doesn't play, he's going to get one of those if they happen. I think this is going to be a good matchup. This is a division matchup coming up here, Andrew, and these two teams know each other very well. And the way Washington is playing, I'd be very leery about them right now. But their defense in Philadelphia is so good, and they really punish you at the line of scrimmage. So this is a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Washington's run defense is 30th. And if Ben Johnson had just given the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs over and over and over again in that game Saturday night, I think the Lions are still playing, because it was Jared Goff mistakes really that caused the Lions to lose that game. I thought they ran for over 200 yards and over 8 yards per carry, and they lost by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I know.
How does that happen? That is an insane stat. Maybe it was Charlie Batch being there. I gave the Bills good luck, and Charlie jinxed the Lions. How about that?
Yeah, he was right over there with Barry Sanders. So together, maybe that was just not the look they needed. Real quick, let's go to Anthony in Verona. Anthony, make it quick, please, if you don't mind.
Hey!
Go ahead, Anthony, quickly, please.
Hey, the Penguins, is they going to win your games?
Thank you, Anthony. On that note, we're going to go to break. The Penguins are playing tonight against the Kings, the third of a 7-game road trip. I don't know about you, Andrew. I watched the game against both of them. I thought Buffalo outplayed them. They won that game because of Nedeljkovic's heroics. But then the next night in Washington is clearly better than them. They got a long way to go here.
They do. And maybe if a goaltender gets hot, they can turn it around. They're 6 points out of a playoff spot. But their body of work so far this season tells me that they're not a very good team. And they got a better chance of landing a top 5 pick than going to the playoffs, Bob.
Yeah, the way it's going, there's only one team worse than them in the Eastern Conference. It's the New York Islanders. Even Columbus has overtaken them. We're going to go to a break. We'll come back with more. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. Ken Rice has a preview of what's coming up tonight at 11 on KDKA. Ken?
Hey, Bob. Tonight, President Donald Trump signs the first executive orders of his second term. Back here, shortage of rock salt prompts an emergency situation in Jeanette. And Ray Pelton's tracking dangerously cold temps for several more nights, all ahead at 11, Bob.
All right, it is cold out there. Thank you very much, Ken. Pony, let's talk about the national championship game. It's almost over. Notre Dame is down by one possession, 31-23. I thought this was going to be a little easier for Ohio State. They got out to a 28-7 lead, but Notre Dame has clawed back into it. Do you expect them to go all the way back and take the lead, or is this one over?
No, I think they just turned it over, actually, so Ohio State's got the ball back here, up 8. I give them credit because I thought when they were down 24, the game was completely over. They're not a team that really can throw their way back into games. They're so run-heavy. But against Penn State and in this game, Riley Leonard, to his credit, has actually made plays through the air, and it's not like he's got NFL wide receivers like the Ohio State quarterback Will Howard has. So this game ended up being more competitive than previous college football playoff and national championship games. And I give Notre Dame some credit for that, Bob, because Ohio State's going to have like 16 guys drafted.
Oh, no
I mean,
question.
they are just
Some
on
may
paper
be here
so
in
much
Pittsburgh.
better.
Yeah.
And they've got a bigger payroll than the Pirates, evidently, from the way they were making it sound on the broadcast.
We're out of time,
tonight,
Andrew.
$20 million.
Thank you, my
Sorry,
man.
Bob.
We'll see you tomorrow right here.